Hello, everybody. Welcome to Absolute Scenes number 51 with the growing in confidence, Billy Roach. How did you feel about that? How did you feel about that comment that I sent you yesterday?
I'm gonna go back to how I was before. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned. I think I mentioned on when we done a year, which was episode. What was it? 46, 47, something like that. That I felt like I'd grown. I'd come out of my shell, and obviously it was a lot more different. I wasn't talking about stats and stuff. Obviously the podcast has changed as well slightly since then. So yeah, I think I definitely feel more confident doing it and stuff. And obviously I've started my own podcast and things like that. So yeah, I think obviously the other thing is, Tom, is I've got to fight you for the spotlight, because you are obviously a very confident person with your own YouTube channel and everything, live streaming everything every day at the minute, aren't you?
Well,
so, yeah,
it hasn't not as much as I would have hoped to have done, but yeah, I did do quite a long live stream yesterday with my old Football Manager 2013 save. But I have purchased breaking news, Billy, and breaking news for the 50 or so people now who listen to this podcast on YouTube and on
the various platforms
everywhere else. I have bought Football Manager 2021, and I'm only going to play it live on YouTube. So I just need a team to manage. A few people have suggested teams. I don't want to manage Wolves. I always used to pick up Wolves because they were always either a terrible Premier League team or a Championship team. So you would have some kind of goal. And you know, if you manage to get them to where they are now in real life in about 3 or 4 seasons, you'd be really, really happy. But the only progress would be spend all the millions that they've got to win the league, which is a little bit boring. If you want to do that, you may as well have Manchester City. So I'm not going to manage Wolves, but I need suggestions for teams to manage. So I think Everton, Leeds have been mentioned, Barnet, Harrogate. There's been a few people mentioning those on Twitter. So you got anybody?
I mean, Tom, you're missing it. You're missing. I don't know if you've. I don't know if they're on there. I doubt they are. But Macclesfield, you've got to take Macclesfield to the glory.
That would be the best one. I think maybe they would be on there because you can download the really lower leagues, but who knows if it goes down that low. I would like to do it. Or what was that? Burton, perhaps?
Newport,
Burton,
Newport. Obviously, they're in the midst of a multi-million takeover and stuff. But yeah, I think there's quite a few. I'm trying to think. Bolton. I think Bolton's probably quite a good one as well because they're quite low down, aren't they? And bringing them back up to the Premier League and stuff. But yeah, maybe that's next week's poll, Tom. That could be next week's poll.
Well, next week might be too late, Billy, because the beta version could be coming out anytime soon. I thought it was coming out today, but I don't think it has come out.
It hasn't yet.
Well, by the way, we're recording this on Tuesday because breaking news. On Thursday afternoon, I will be sitting here stroking a new pussy cat. So we were unable to record it on Thursday. This is still coming out as normal. So I'll be picking up a cat, which is the theme for this week's poll, Billy. If you just give me 1 second. The Sting. Now. Play. Come on, show me up. Really show me up this computer. And it's time for Billy Roach's poll. Took you a little while to show us your poll there, Billy, but now you've revealed it. So, take it away.
So this week, in honour of Tom, again, 2 weeks in a row, Tom, you've been the feature of the poll, and next week now you're going to be the another one. So maybe we should rename this to Tom's poll rather than my poll.
But you're deciding factors in my life now, like things that you decide I have to then carry out. So
yeah,
in a way, you still have the power.
I have the power. You should get that clip. I've got the power. That should now be in the poll thing. So yeah, so we and in fairness, you did pick the 4 options as well. So this week because with Tom buying I think you're adopting a cat, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you need to name the cat. And someone did point.
The cat already. The cat has a name. The cat is called Amber. Now, apologies if there happens to be anybody listening to the podcast who is called Amber or knows anybody called Amber. It's not a name that I want to be calling my cat. Put it that way.
Yeah. And someone pointed out to me today, because I was talking about it in work, and they were like, "Oh, that's quite good." So, but you've got to, all of them have to start with A for the cats because the cat will be used to being called the A sounds. Now, if you start calling it something else, it's not gonna know. So I was like, actually, well, out of the 4 options we've picked, only one of them has A at the start. So by default, it might automatically just have to be that one. But we did have the options. So you're going to have to explain a couple of these options. So Ben Stokes was one of the options, which I suggested purely because you don't stop talking about him.
It's also the name of the fish, which we spoke about at home, and we said that would be very funny to say, well, what's the name of your fish? Oh, the fish is called Ben Stokes. What about the cat? That's also called Ben Stokes.
So I think that unfortunately hasn't won, but it should have won. Personally, that's because that's all you talk about is Ben Stokes. So I think it would have been quite funny. And then you could get a dog and call that Ben Stokes, and your first child could have been Ben Stokes. regardless if it was a girl or a boy. Just everything's Ben Stokes. And then we had Denmark was another option. Tom. You care to explain this to me? Because I was baffled. Because originally you had Nuno, and then you changed it to Ben Stokes, and then I was like, why don't you? When I suggested Ben Stokes, I thought, you'll change Denmark to Ben Stokes, and no, you'll change Nuno, Wolverhampton Wanderers manager, an actual name of a person. You change that one instead of Denmark. Explain Denmark.
I was just trying to think of a random word and just a noun. So it could have easily been table, but for some reason I was thinking about, I don't know if you've been following the news, but there's that big outbreak of COVID or it's morphed through mink in Denmark. And that was in my head at that point. So I said, right, it could have been mink, but it just happened to be Denmark.
Yeah. And that obviously both of those had 1 vote each. So Ben Stokes and Denmark are on a level playing field. I think that's you'd never probably have thought in the same sentence Denmark and Ben Stokes on the same level playing field. So next then we had the other 2 options, which was Molineux, which is obviously the name of your football stadium. Well, not yours personally, but
the one that I own.
The one that you own. Which is the name of your house as well, on Ben Stokes Avenue. And the other one was Absolute Scenes, obviously for obvious reasons, named after the podcast. And did you vote on the poll, Tom? Because normally you do, whereas I
voted twice, I think.
Did you vote on your Twitter and then on the Absolute Scenes Twitter?
So I think I voted for Absolute Scenes, and I think I voted for Denmark as well. I think I was the one person who voted for
Denmark. I can actually check. Shall I have a look to see before I give you the result which one you did vote for? Because I can obviously see on the Absolute Scenes one which one you voted for.
Let me have a look on the on my own. I think.
We didn't share it this week actually on Absolute Scenes. So that's obviously why we didn't. You voted for Absolute Scenes. With Absolute Scenes, which makes sense, and then obviously Denmark with you must have done with yourself. It was pretty close. It was a 30-50 swing. Have you looked at the results, Tom? Or
I've just seen it, but I didn't see who won.
Would you have a guess? Would you like to have a guess?
I think it must be Molineux, surely.
Yeah, going off your fans, because you've retweeted it. Molineux won 50% to 30%. Obviously now you've got to convince Alice to agree to naming your cat Molineux.
Listen. It's a name that's already been suggested by myself, but not as Molineux. It was going to be Molly, the new cat.
Okay.
Molly, new cat. But it's not going to be called either of those names, Billy. I'll reveal the name of the cats next week. It's not very exciting, but its surname will be Absolute Scenes.
Okay, that's okay then. I'll let you off. In other news, Tom, before we go on to my next feature, do you want to show off everyone what you've also acquired this week, which you had last week but wasn't as prevalent as before? Well, you might need to come a bit closer, Tom.
So for the people who are listening to this on audio, you will not be able to see my magnificent moustache. Just picture this. Remember the dad from Tarzan? Jane's dad from Tarzan? He looks exactly like that. Big, bushy, goes down to my bottom lip. People can't really understand what I'm saying anymore because of how muffled it is. Those of you who are watching on YouTube will be able to see how magnificent it is. So
I was going to compare. You know, Richard in Friends. I can't remember the name of the actor.
yes,
but,
Tom Selleck.
Yeah, it's on that level. That's the level that it's at.
Thank you.
And puts mine to shame. Put mine to shame. And considering, Tom, you can obviously confirm or deny this. We've obviously got a new logo in the works.
We have.
I don't know.
So hopefully it'll be ready for next week. So by next week's episode, it'll be on there. But a friend. Well, has now, by virtue of helping us, has become in fact, he's just emailed us now.
Breaking news. I obviously had a sixth sense.
Yeah, so the logo I got sent on Saturday has been sent back, and then there's been a couple of changes to it. But I think we're pretty pleased with it. I can see that on T-shirts and posters in people's bedrooms, can't you, Billy?
However, the problem is the mustache isn't prevalent on that logo at the minute, so we may need to go back and tweak it. Because obviously we need it up to date and current. To show off Tom's fabulous moustache, but we'll wait and see if it sticks around after the end of the month. Because obviously, Tom, people listening, is it still on? It
will be. Yeah, so we've at time of recording, currently we've raised £28 at the moment from people who listened to the previous episode. Hopefully that'll go up. The last couple of episodes have had about 40 listens, so hopefully that will go up a little bit towards 40. This episode as well. Every listen will be donating £1 to Movember. I think I've set a target of about £100 for us at the moment. I know that Huss, who has watched all my live streams and has now started to listen to the podcast, he's pledged that he's going to donate some money at the end of the month. I know that a couple of other people have mentioned it as well. It's now on my Facebook and things like that. So if you can, even if it's just £1 per episode this month, that'll be great to contribute towards that charity. So yes, let's move on then, Billy.
Yeah.
Should we have a new feature? You've got a new feature for us.
I can. I'm going to try. Obviously, I've got to share my audio with you. So you're going to stop sharing, and I'm going to start sharing. So hopefully this works. I'm now sharing my sound. So Tom's obviously amazing feature that he tried to introduce, I think it was 2 weeks ago, where he had various different clips and created almost like a question of sport-esque quiz where he asked a load of questions after. Obviously had a load of responses, but it was it was very taxing on Tom to spend time every week, especially now with working. Are the kids working from home with you now as well?
No. They're all in. Well, this is why our lockdown is different. Is that things are just normal.
Normal.
In this house, we've got Alice goes to work all the time. I go to work all the time. There's nobody here apart from the cat. And now,
poor Frank, and hence why you get a new cat, because Frank needs company.
Yeah, exactly.
That's Frank needs a girlfriend. You've been on the cat equivalent of Tinder and found him this cat.
What would you call the cat version? Litter box.
But anyway, so I said to Tom, I think it was before we recorded last week, I'd found this and I had this idea where I'm going to play him a famous clip of audio from a famous sporting event, and he's going to have to try and guess the sporting event. Are you going to guess this week, Tom? Or are you going to save it for next week? How do you want to set this up now?
We'll do it the same as mine then. So we'll set it up, and then I'll go, good one, Billy. I think I've got an idea. And then I'll give you the answer next week, and then you can tell us all the people that emailed in. Yeah.
But I mean, you can tell us all the people because they'll be emailing you rather than me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So hopefully this works. I'll try it now. So let me know if you give me a thumbs up, Tom, if you can hear this.
It's a new world record, and again he eased up on the way to the line. It is a staggering performance from an athlete who has been described as a freak of nature, and he has just run like one.
Okay, I'm going to play it again just because I'm going to turn my volume up on my end just so it might be a bit clearer, because I think you might be able to hear it, Tom, but it's quite quiet. So I'll play it once more.
It's a new world record, and again he eased up on the way to the line. It is a staggering performance from an athlete who has been described as a freak of nature, and he has just run like one.
There we are. So you can tweet us, mail us, send a carrier pigeon, however you want.
Well, if I give everybody the email address, then they can email in. I must emphasize, don't send it by any other method other than email. So the email address is rouseroach.pod@gmail.com. That's rouseroach.pod@gmail.com. Roach is spelled ROCHE, Rouse, ROUSE. Write that down, and then you'll win a prize, which will be revealed next week. Ooh!
Okay.
So you must email in. So what you want? The sporting
where it's come from, what is
athlete.
So what is the commentary from, basically? What the event, if you want, because of next week it could be a completely different event, a different sport. It's what is the piece of commentary from?
Okay, I think I've got it. I think I've got all three things that I think that you will need. So just play it once more for the listeners, and then we'll move on. Have you closed it?
Hang on then.
Sorry,
I had closed it, but I can open it back up.
It's a new world record, and again he eased up on the way to the line. It is a staggering performance from an athlete who has been described as a freak of nature, and he has just run like one.
There we are.
Okay, lovely jubbly. Right then, Billy, I've got a new feature. That's what the word we're talking about, and it's a podcast idea for you. I know that now you're into podcasts. I've got a couple of podcasts as well, but I'm interested in how niche you can go with podcasts. So I thought I'd give you some ideas, and if you're interested in doing them, then we can carry on with that. So the first idea I've got is a retrospective look of the Premier League season 2011-2012, but not just the key elements, not just a couple of episodes. A game by game watch along. So every single game, we're going to sit down and we're going to watch all 90 minutes of the games, and we're going to review those games. Because, of course, that season is famous for the Aguero moment that we all know. But what about games like Newcastle 1, Aston Villa 1? People forget about these games. Liverpool 1, Man United 1. That was a classic game. But you have also, in all seriousness, there's 380 episodes in this series. So you're going to have some that, that drag a little bit. There's going to be some games where you've got, there's going to be.
At the minute, you're only giving examples where the score is 1-1. So I'm quite.
Yeah, sorry.
All of the games finished 1-1. So I obviously want to know more.
So there's 8-2, Manchester United Arsenal. There's that season. There's one with a 7-1 Arsenal against Blackburn.
Tom, you're giving away all the answers. You're giving away all the episodes.
Yeah.
Do you know?
For
something.
Wolves fans as well, it was a record-breaking season. It was the lowest number of points that we ever got in a season. We only won 5 games across that season. So those 5 episodes amongst the 380 will stand out. But yeah, there's lots of these watch-along podcasts. There's one for The Office now that the Office ladies do. There's one for Scrubs. There's one for Peep Show that I've just found. There's one for The Office. There's one for Extras. There's one for
2 for The Office.
Partridge.
Wow, 2 for The Office.
Sorry, UK and US. So I just thought that's what the Premier League needs, is to look at the greatest season of all time in minutiae detail. And
so obviously this is obviously different to because at the minute Sky Sports do the Premier League years, don't they? And they look at a season, but it's obviously just the highlights of those games. You obviously want to watch the whole game in its entirety.
I want to relive every moment of the 2011-2012 season. Because I think you can only really appreciate the Aguero moment if you have upwards of 700 hours worth of audio material leading up to that specific
moment. Yeah, it's an interesting concept, Tom. Obviously, we need some sort of sponsorship to be able to legally watch all of these games, because I don't know how else we'd be able to do that. But if anyone can get us in touch with Sky.
Well, when do you remember the channel Prem? I was going to say Prem Plus then, but do you remember that channel Prem Flicks? When that comes to life, when you have access to all these games, we'll sit
Yeah.
down and we'll do it, Billy. And
We'll
we'll
do it.
call
We'll do it.
What should we call it? Season review 2011-12.
Or it could be, like the making of the Aguero moment or something like that. I don't know.
Exactly. I think it'd be so
Behind the
funny.
scenes.
700 hours worth of episodes to just go,
Yeah,
Aguero! But then don't talk about that moment a lot. Just sort of gloss over it and go, well, there it is. And that concludes the podcast.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed. You can check back the back catalogue, 380 episodes. And
we could even just get the audio, the commentary from all of those games,
and just sit quietly and listen to it.
And just sit quietly and listen to it. and that could be it. And obviously then, or we could just cut it off just before the end, the Aguero moment. Just go, oh, well, we've hit the. We normally only do it for 90 minutes, and this is the end. Yeah. So we don't need the stoppage time because nothing ever happens there. We always go home early to beat the traffic. So we'll just pop off and do that.
Was that a yes then, Billy?
Yeah, I think it'd be a massive hit. I think we'd have a massive, pull of listeners. Like you're saying, I think you said we've got about 20, 30, 40 listeners now for this podcast. I think we probably, obviously this is a huge podcast, so we might not get that amount of listeners, but yeah, it would work. I think.
I'm just thinking of. So I've got a couple of other episodes. Do you want me to give you one more now, or do you want to save them for?
I think we should save them for. I think we should save it for next time. We don't want to overface them because I don't know. Obviously this is what you meant for happen, but to transition in. I don't know whether you saw. I think it has been confirmed about pay-per-view being scrapped.
No, it isn't.
So obviously
scrapped altogether.
I don't know if they're going to look at reforming it, but I know it's in its current format. It's going to be scrapped. I'm just going to double check on the
good news
on the internet. Obviously, listening to our podcast, they've heard that you in particular were displeased with this. Now, obviously, VAR is next on their list, as you are a massive advocate for that. I'm just looking at it now.
Did you see, by the way, while you're looking for that, at most of the Premier League games that were on telly this week, they had big boards going around the side of the pitch saying, half of illegal streamers get hacked. I'm like, all right, okay, whatever. Have you never heard of a VPN?
It says it's likely to be scrapped, but it hasn't been confirmed. I saw it breaking news somewhere that it had been confirmed, but you've heard it here first. By Thursday, it could be confirmed as exactly. We are a couple of days. I'm obviously predicting the curve as we have done. I think most episodes. We predicted everything as we had it. As with last week, we were predicted it would be a close race with the election, and it's still ongoing now as we speak.
It wasn't that close in the end, was it? I mean, I haven't since Biden was actually announced on Saturday. I haven't checked any other states that have projected.
No others other than Nevada.
Is there still 5 left to?
No, so there's only 3 left now. Because of the 5 that were left, Pennsylvania was the state that awarded Biden to become president-elect. Obviously, it's still pending, depending on which side you fall on. We're impartial here, aren't we, Tom? Because obviously,
absolutely,
President Trump helps us with our content. And then I think Nevada was not long after, but that was 6 electoral votes, so that just put him to 279. North Carolina, Arizona and Georgia are still yet to be, at the time of recording, I thought you were going
to say North Korea then. North Korea and, of course, Russia. They haven't cast their votes yet, so we don't know.
No, yeah. But Georgia's going to go to a recount, so still could be right up until the end of this month before it's
on that theme,
nailed on.
On that theme, we were just talking beforehand about some sporting moments that perhaps fake winners I've called it, but perhaps sore losers as well, along the sort of theme of Trump in the last week or so not accepting what has actually happened. So I just want to show you Billy I don't know how to do it. Oh, there we go. I just want to show you a video. Sorry, that is the scores of all the Premier League games from 2011, 2012.
I'll close my eyes. I don't want to obviously see them.
This is famous. If there's anybody watching in Australia, they absolutely hate Stuart Broad. You remember, Billy, when we were in Madrid, the gentleman that shared the room with us on the last evening we were there, or the last evening I was there, was Australian, and he referenced this moment. So this is world famous, and this is why Australians hate Stuart Broad. Do you think that this was out, Billy?
You're saying it's world famous if you watch cricket. There is that, that asterisk next to this.
Yeah.
This
across the Commonwealth.
Yeah. Go on then.
Right. So if you're listening on the audio, you won't be able to hear. Do you think that was out, Billy?
I mean, I'm not going to lie, Tom. It's very stuttery, so I may need to see it again because it's no fault of your own, but obviously trying to share this.
So
here we are.
Stuart Broad whacks
it. Clips it.
He hits it pretty firmly to first slip. And then refuses to walk. Now in cricket, that's unforgivable. If you hit it, you walk. You own up and you walk off. He didn't, and the umpire, for some unknown reason, also didn't see it or didn't think that he'd hit it, so he stayed on the pitch.
They didn't review it?
This was before reviews were, I think, or they'd run out of reviews, something like that, so I can't quite remember.
VAR not there to rescue the Australians?
No. So the other one that I thought of was Man United in 2012, thinking that they had won the title at Sunderland, and then the Aguero moment again just keeps on
You're spoiling it, Tom. Spoiling it.
So there's that.
I mentioned Bayern Munich again, linked to Man United, didn't I? In the stoppage time winners in the Champions League in 1999.
Yeah.
That was one that I came up with.
There was
the only one I came up with.
There was a couple of relegation ones that I thought of as well. So Birmingham City in 2011 were playing against Tottenham and thought that they had enough on the day to keep them up. It turned out that they didn't, and they desperately needed a goal in the last couple of minutes then, and they threw the goalkeeper up and all stuff like that, and they ended up conceding another goal and getting relegated. The same happened with Man City in the 90s. I don't remember the exact details, but there's a very famous video of Niall Quinn coming running out of the change room because he'd just seen on CFAX that the results were going against them. So if you've got any more
sore losers
or fake winners, obviously like John McEnroe, that's kind of vibe. So Trumps in sport. That's what we went at the moment. So again, if you've got any of those, you can either put them in the comments section in YouTube, or you can email us at rouseroach.pod@gmail.com. So it's the part of the podcast now that everybody looks forward to.
I was going to say, Tom, you're not sharing your sound before you do your sting.
I'm just about to... Hopefully it will load a bit quicker.
Denmark government are allowing sex with domestic animals during
Malcolm
lockdown.
Pike left an address at where he was the Brazilian Chico Rodriguez has stuffed 10,000 pounds down. The government are banning babies to own businesses. A Dutch football team is not allowed to be sponsored by sex toys. A 3-year-old blood is swept off by a kite. Bears.
It's time for Believe It or Not.
You are fake news.
All right then, Billy. You've done well with your poll this week.
Yeah.
You've beaten me almost every time on this game. Is it going to be the same again this week? I expect so.
I don't know. And, well, you'll see. I've been a bit mean. I am going to be mean this week. I've got, instead of 3, Tom, this week, I've added a 4th because I have just been sent. I have just been sent one of these stories, and so there'll still be 1 fake, but there will be 3 real stories.
Okay.
And I've just been sent one of them, so hence why I've added it, because it is literally it's great. It's great. So, are you ready?
I am ready. Yes.
Right, so...
if you're listening at home, get your pens out as well. Make some notes now as Billy speaks.
Okay, so we've got Bling Kong. Hang on, let me get this right. Bling Kong scales Edinburgh Art Gallery.
Okay.
Dog shoots owner in the thigh.
Bong.
Orangutan begins Orangutan starts washing hands as a result of COVID. And Meow Talk, a new app that translates cat sounds.
Okay, well, instantly, I think I know 2 of these.
Okay.
So I think, oh, can you hear that now? I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to turn the sound off. I don't know. So I feel like the meow talk and the orangutan washing their hands on are true. I think I've seen those stories. So the meow talk, if I'm right in saying it, I've seen it with a dog as well, but I've certainly seen it with a cat. There's a famous dog on TikTok that does it. So they have these little pads, and there's words next to each of the pads, and they press them in response to the questions that the owners ask. Am I right there, Billy? Is there any?
I know what you're on about. Let me tell you about the app. Okay. Then,
it's an app.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what Meow Talk app. So basically, you similar to like Shazam. It's that sort of feature where you push the button and it listens to what your cat says, and then it translates it.
Okay, you've lost me there because I thought it was true, and I could understand that kind of thing, but how can? Although have I seen that somewhere? I can't remember. So I know that there's they've tried to like make translation tools for animals, haven't they? So the different kinds of dogs and stuff. Okay, so. Okay, I'm not ruling that one out. The orangutan one, I'm sure I've seen that somewhere. I'm sure I've seen that because more and more people, when they're visiting zoos and stuff, have to sanitize their hands. So people are forever doing this. I don't think that he's actually going over and getting soap and washing his hands. I think that he's mimicking the people there by rubbing his hands together. I think that's probably what the story is there. Okay. Can I just ask what zoo it was in?
It was in Florida.
Florida Zoo.
The Center for Great Apes.
Okay. Have they been told to wash their hands? Is that what Trump's told them? Because it was only yesterday. That Biden said, "Hey guys, we should all wear masks." I know I'm not in charge yet, but please, for God's sake.
I'm quite surprised, Tom. You haven't asked me the name, because normally you ask me the name of these.
What, of the orangutan?
Yeah, I've got the name of the orangutan. Sandra.
Sandra Tang.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, interesting. So I think I'm sold on the orangutan. I think I'm going to put my neck out on the line. Orangutan one is true. Okay. So I need more information about Blinkong, please, Blee. What is Blinkong?
Blinkong is basically a giant inflatable golden monkey, which has been attached to it's climbing the walls of an art gallery in Edinburgh.
Okay.
And it's
So it's an art installation.
Basically, it's 10 meters in high. It's 10 meters high, inflatable, blow up, golden.
That's what inflatable means, Billy. Okay, right. So an inflatable blow up monkey.
Yeah.
So what? Is there any more information? Is there any information about the artist behind it?
It's an Australian artist, Lisa Rowett.
Right.
She's and it's to do with climate change.
Why? Because monkeys are getting more jewelry.
It's just to raise awareness for climate change.
No, I think this one's true as well, but I don't understand how a monkey with jewelry climbing an art gallery depicts that. Okay. Right. Where did the dog shooting its owner in the thigh happen? In which country?
You can have a guess, Tom.
Is it in the United States of America?
Yes, Tom. And you can even guess the state if you would like.
Oh, it's in the right state, I tell you that. Texas.
Correct, Tom.
Okay. Right. So what
in fairness, I could just be agreeing with you and everything you're saying at the minute.
That's true. Very true. I could have said Texas. No, I mean Miami. No, I mean that's not a state. No, I mean I should have said something that's not a state. Anyway, so which city in Texas?
Plano.
Is that a place in Texas? But I just spell Plano. P-L-A.
Well, you can't Google it. That's against the rules.
Okay, all right. It exists as a place. That's all I wanted to know.
Okay.
It's not the top news story in Plano at the minute. Don't worry.
Okay.
There's a school protest or something going
Okay.
on. So, what breed of dog was it, please, Billy?
The breed of dog has not been named, and the owner has wished to remain anonymous for obvious reasons. But it says that Paul got lodged in the trigger and ended up shooting it. I think it was a handgun. Was what was fired.
Right.
But it's other than that, I haven't got much more information.
Okay. Very vague.
Yes.
I was imagining like a Jack Russell. Were you imagining this?
I mean, you can speculate all you want, Tom, but I'm not going to confirm nor deny that.
You don't know, do you? Right. So, having heard all the evidence provided to me in this court, I can rule out the orangutan one. I'm fairly sure that I have read or seen videos on Instagram of monkeys rubbing their hands together more because of COVID. So I believe that to be true. Now, the other three is very difficult. I think you've given me such little information about the dog shooting the owner in the thigh that it could be true.
Okay.
Because sometimes you elaborate loads and you give me lots of information. And other times you don't give me any information at all, and then it turns out to be that one. Bling Kong one, you had quite a lot of information. I don't know why I don't understand I don't understand art anyway. So that's the fact that I don't understand the installation. It doesn't mean necessarily that it's fake.
Okay.
Now the Meow Talk one, when you spoke about it first, I believed that to be true because I thought I'd seen it. However, because you told me that it was something different, although I know that oh my God, this is hard. Because I know that that sort of thing they've tried to make that sort of thing happen.
Okay.
I don't know if it is a thing. So to save our listeners from going through any more agony, I'm just going to say that it's the Meow Talk one is fake.
Okay, so you're saying that the golden monkey is true, the dog shooting is true, and the orangutan is true. And
I'm going to guess as well that the Bling Kong story was sent to you by your sister this evening.
Okay.
That was the last one. That was the fourth one.
That was the fourth one.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start with the dog shooting in Texas. That is true. It was in Saturday's newspaper is where I required that from. So that's why there's little information about it. It's because it is literally a little
developing story.
It's a developing story, and I'm not been able to find much more about it. So it is literally a short little snippet of a paragraph, and I can't tell you much more than that. So that's why you had limited information with that. So, but well done, Tom, in regards to, you've sussed out that sometimes they give you loads and not some others. Bling Kong is true. That is true. I will show you a picture of that once I have revealed the fake news story, because obviously the one that I've made up isn't on my screen. So I will show you a picture of Bling Kong. Now, the two which are left, I gave you no information about one.
I just spoke.
You just spoke about the orangutan, and I didn't give you any information whatsoever. You sent yourself down that river, Tom, and I just went, yeah, fine. If that's what you want to go down, you go down.
Oh, God.
Because National Geographic have stated that orangutans tend to do this movement. I've done it for years and years and years, especially in zoos, because they enjoy playing with water, and especially soapy water. So they've always done it. They haven't just started doing it in relation to COVID, which was what the news story I gave you was. They've always done it. So you sent yourself down the river yourself, Tom. I did nothing. I said not a single word about that story. And you said, yeah, I've seen videos about this, which is
I did.
The headlines.
But it must have been before those headlines that came out and said, no, they're not. They're not washing their hands more.
There has been loads of videos for that and saying it's because of COVID and things like that, which is where the headline I've created has come from. Yeah. However, National Geographic, I've had to come out and say, no, they're not doing it because of that. They've always done it. So yeah. And Meow Talk has been developed. It has just come out. I'm gonna share my screen with you now so you can see. Because until I clicked on this link, I thought it was exactly the same as what you've just said. I'll just share now. For those of you on YouTube, you can obviously still see us. So this is the Meow Talk.
There I am.
And here is the app. So hence why the Shazam reference was referenced there.
See, yeah.
Whereas I thought it was the same as you said. I thought, it's that. I've seen the same video of that woman and it's pushing buttons and blah blah blah. I thought it was that, but no. Only it's literally. Luckily, I've clicked on this because then I've been able to spin the web even more. But it's obviously it's only just. This story was on the 3rd of November. So it's only just been developed. Breaking news, as always, on this.
I was just going to say because I've just searched for it on my phone, but it's not available yet.
So it's obviously again, it might turn out to be fake news. So next week we could return again, and I announce it once again. And then the golden monkey. Here he is,
wow.
Blinkong. There's a better photo down here. There we are.
Why has it got like a reptile's tail?
Tom, you'll have to ask Lisa Rowett herself.
I think Lisa Rowett needs to have a word with herself because A, it doesn't make sense, the whole thing, and then B, it's got the tail of a lizard.
I think it's to do with endangered animals and things like that. The golden monkey installation had previously been scaled opposite hotel in Beijing, Temple House in China. So it's obviously going around the world. And things like that. So I think it's to draw public's attention to climate change. For those of you who can't see, if you just Google it, you'll be able to
Google it. Just Google it.
Just Google Blinkong, and it'll come up. Maybe be a bit careful. But once again, I was a bit unfair. But in fairness, Tom, you sent yourself down the river yourself, and I'm so happy that you did. It was brilliant. You basically 2 stories. You went, this is what it is.
Yeah, I've seen
real.
these.
Yeah, and then again,
it's that kind of arrogance that will get me nowhere in life.
Yeah, and again, you got the shooting in Texas. You named the state, you named the country. Perfect. They were the actual states and stuff. So it was. I knew you would guess that and be like, oh, actually, is he agreeing with me because I'm just making it up now? So I'm getting more deceitful, Tom. More and more deceitful.
Right. Yes.
So tune in next week. We'll go back to. I'll be kinder next week. I'll go back to 3. Next week.
I was thinking that I had a feeling that you were going to change this week, but I thought you were going to give me 2 fake stories and 1 real one, and I had to find a that would be that would be very, very hard.
It'd be hard for me. It'd be very hard for me.
Yeah.
But no, it was the meow talk because of you getting a cat. It was something I saw on Twitter and thought, that's going in. That's definitely going in. Checked it and it had come up. So I was like, yeah, fine. It's going in.
Absolutely. Right. Well, that's the end of Absolute Scenes 50. Oh, it's not quite the end of Absolute Scenes 51. I did just spot something there, Billy, that I would like to ask you about. Perhaps you might want to use for your Roach Recommends. So the first tab that you had open, we spoke about it once the podcast had ended last week. I don't know whose turn it is. We were going to talk about something else, but now I've spotted that. Share with us what you've been playing the last couple of weeks while in your lockdown.
So, I would say we played it. So when I came to see you, I had it as well. But we've been playing board games, as I mentioned previously. I've started becoming a board game fanatic, if you will. And I think it has rubbed off on you, Tom. I know you've started your own club in school.
Now been cancelled because of our lockdown, but yeah.
Yeah, but you've started it, Tom. It's on the agenda.
You can only go up.
You haven't done. Yeah. So there was a game and it was on offer, and the reason I have this open, Tom, is to check if it was still on offer. It hasn't. It is now back to a whopping £35. So we did get in there pretty quick, but I'm presuming now Black Friday is coming up and things like that. So I'm expecting it to go back on offer and things like that with deals and stuff. But it's Ticket to Ride is the name of the game.
Nothing to do with the Beatles.
Nothing. Okay, Tom, I'll take your word on that. Tom, do you want to try? Because you've played it once with me, or played a couple of times with me, I should say. When I came to
one time, I was amazing.
Yeah.
Second time, one of the worst displays you've ever seen, I believe, is the way you described it.
Yeah. So the basic concept of the game is you get given a map, and it's the same map and the map is the board. So Ticket to Ride Europe, it's a map of Europe. There are different variations. So there's, I think, India, there's America, there's a Scandinavian one, there's different ones where you basically have to try and connect your train from one location to another. So you have various different routes. You'll have one long route. So it could be like from London to Athena. And you've got to get your trains, plonk them down all the way along the route. And you might have shorter routes as well. So it could be like from Paris to Frankfurt, for example, or from Lisbon to Barcelona, something short where you've got to also try and, you don't have to connect them all into one big route, but they're short routes. And you've got to play cards to be able to do this route. And you gain points subsequently because of it. But if you fail to do your routes, you then lose points. And Tom quickly, because you're all trying to compete and, your routes might cross paths and there's only certain areas you can go and things like that. Tom quickly realized that he had failed with his routes and decided to go on a self-sabotage and decided to get as low a score as possible and almost ended up in the negatives. It was that poor a performance. But I think it shows testament, Tom, that I've convinced you to buy a copy. It's testament to the game. It's won numerous awards and things like that. There's various different editions. So there's the Europe one, and there's obviously expansion packs and things like that for those of you who want different ones. And I know it's popular, and especially it's different to your Monopolies, your Scrabbles, your traditional games. So, and especially for those of you listeners in England, I was going to recommend you go and buy it now, but seeing that it's back up to £35, maybe hold off, because it does go on offer quite regularly. Amazon do deals. There's various other websites which will have discounts and stuff, especially leading up to Christmas. But it's definitely something that I would recommend. I know, Tom, you've enjoyed it. Alice enjoyed it playing, and my family enjoy playing it. And it's good. Anything to add, Tom, there?
No, other than obviously people are going to have a very different Christmas this year. And if you're in a house with a few people, then I'd certainly invest in a few board games rather than just staring at the telly and watching Netflix all day long. But there's one thing that I wanted to add as well, Billy, because last week I recommended people go and listen to Blossoms and that there was going to be a little extract at the end. However, there was an issue because when you include music, it only lets you put the podcast up on Spotify. So I did that and it said your podcast is under review because we'd included music. But then I deleted it and changed it and put it back up, but with me singing Charlemagne by Blossoms and an apology at the end. So there's a little bonus there if anybody got to the very end of the podcast. But
you poor people.
If you do want to, if you do want to learn more about Blossoms, there was a documentary that actually came out on Amazon Prime over the weekend about them, and they performed at Stockport County's ground, Edgeley Park, last summer, 2019, and it was all based around that. So it was basically their story. It was a little bit boring and tedious, to be honest, because they're all such nice boys, and they just kept all going, "Oh yeah, he's such a nice boy, and he's my friend, and he's a nice boy too, and he plays the piano, and he's a really nice boy." So come on, what if you be horrible and like kick a piano over?
Yeah, if you compare them to Oasis, and if they had a similar, I doubt they'd be going, "Oh, he's a nice boy. Oh, he's a nice boy." I think it'd be a fair few tables and chairs thrown at each other. But yeah, well, we've done 2 again, Tom, this week. So next week,
exactly. Yeah.
We'll be back to square one. I was hoping that by me recommending, you'd do one for next week. But we're back to exactly what.
It's a continuation of last week, really.
But yeah, we might. I think, as you've said, I think there's a couple of games that you've bought. We're going to hold them later on. So at least it might be that we recommend another board game for you to try out. And once you've bought this one, you'll be splashing your cash everywhere.
Yeah. So that's the end of today's episode of Absolute Scene, sponsored by Hasbro. You can catch us on all different types of social media. And we'll be seeing you again next Thursday. When this goes live, I'll be trapped in this room with a strange cat. See you next Thursday. Bye-bye.
Bye.